WOTW Productions. This is the official story of a royal wedding between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. You can read along with me in your book. You'll know it's time to move on to the next part of the story when you hear the chime of Big Ben. Like this. Joining us on our adventure will be Tarby the Wizard. When you hear him wave his magic wand, be sure to keep listening.
Oh, that's absolutely right. When you hear my wand sparkle like this, keep your ears peeled because I shall be sharing some exciting hidden secrets and surprises. Okay, let's go! Whee!
Let's begin. Now, move to part 1. It's Saturday the 19th of May 2018, and the sun is shining over Windsor Castle in England. Prince Harry is set to wed the love of his life, American actress Meghan Markle. Like billions of other people from across the world, newlyweds Chuck and Norma Randolph from the United States have travelled to England especially for the event. They're soaking up the wonderful atmosphere and are hoping to catch a glimpse of the royal couple.
What a special day. I'm so glad we could make it over to Windsor,
said Norma. Too right, honey. I wouldn't miss seeing my boy Harry tie the knot for the world, replied Chuck.
I've brought us a special treat, Chuck.
Norma reaches into her fanny pack and produces a Tupperware box with a Union Jack patterned lid. She pops it open to reveal a large Scotch egg, Chuck's favourite British food. Awesome. That's really made my day. Thanks, honey. He smiles as his teeth sink effortlessly into the meaty ball, forcing the runny yolk to ejaculate across his perfectly formed square jaw. Now move to part 2. At 8 a.m., Prince Harry is given his new title, the Duke of Sidcup, by his grandmother, Her Majesty the Queen, to mark his forthcoming marriage.
Are you feeling all right, my darling Harry? You look a little pale,
asked the Queen. It was my stag party last night, Grandmother, and well, one might say a chap's got a little carried away.
Bloody good show, old boy. I've handcuffed a smurf to you, Harry.
Stab him in the face, Harry, like the old days.
I paid good money for that totty.
Now move to part 3. It's 10:13 a.m. Princes Harry and William leave the Royal Lodge in a chauffeur-driven Bentley. Harry is wearing the famous red tunic of an Irish Guards officer with a tie clip encrusted with diamonds sourced from the Democratic Republic of Congo, a gift from his uncle Andrew, the Duke of York. Traditionally, the royal siblings wave to the crowds along the way, saluting military colleagues and monuments as they go. But today, things are a little different. Prince William remembers what a nuisance it was having to wave to the commoners on his own wedding day in 2011. So as a special gift to his brother, he has commissioned American robotics company, Boston Dynamics, to create 2 animatronic replicas of both Harry and himself. While these lifelike robots are waving at the unsuspecting crowds, the royal princes strip down to their codpieces and engage in a well-earned bout of traditional boys wrestling on the floor of the limousine. Ouch! That hurts, Harry. Grappling too hard. Don't be such a fucking queer, Will. Fight like a man, you little bald cunt. Now move to part 4. 10:30 a.m. in the Royal Adelaide Hotel penthouse suite. Meghan Markle is looking radiant, with hair and makeup fit for a princess. The time has finally come to put on her beautiful wedding dress. She takes a deep breath and asks for a moment alone to gather her thoughts as she enters the royal dressing room. Little did Meghan know that awaiting her in the chamber was her bitter ex-lover, Mike Ross. 2 years earlier, Mike and Meghan had been quite an item, and Mike had treated her to a romantic break in London with the intention of asking for her hand in marriage. Mike had only recently recovered from witnessing the brutal murder of his beloved grandma, Joyce Ross, at his LA apartment in 2015. Proving his innocence to the LAPD had been incredibly costly, but things were finally looking up for Mike, and he was now ready to build his future with the lovely Meghan. He had decided to propose to her at the exclusive Central London Members Club, Soho House. Months had been spent meticulously planning the surprise, and he had even managed to convince the manager at the club to hide the precious wedding ring inside a glass of Meghan's favorite Los Angeles cocktail, the Sunset Slammer. The ring itself had been in Mike's family through many generations and had been worn by his great-grandmother, Pearl Ross, aboard the doomed maiden voyage of the RMS Titanic in 1912. Sadly, Pearl had perished that night, along with many other unfortunate passengers, and the Ross family never thought they would see the ring again. That was until 89 years later, when scuba diving legend Frankie the Frog Reeves managed to recover the ring from Pearl's sunken corpse with a hacksaw during his notorious 1991 expedition to the Titanic wreck site. Frankie the Frog Reeves was a noble gentleman and promised to return the ring to the Ross family on the condition that a member of the family complete one of his famously eccentric challenges. So, in 1993, on an icy February morning at Frankie's old sea ranch in Portland, Maine, Pearl Ross's eldest daughter, Joyce, accepted the challenge. As the waves crashed against the rugged shoreline, Frankie explained that 81-year-old Joyce would be lowered into a water tank, then saddled atop his toothless pet bull shark named Jenny. If she was able to ride the shark for 1 whole minute, she would finally win back her mother's lost wedding ring. Fortunately, Joyce had been raised on a Kentucky farm in the 1920s, and so knew a thing or two about taming a wild, bucking beast. After watching Joyce effortlessly ride Jenny the shark for over 2 hours, Frankie finally conceded defeat by scooping his eyeballs out with a rusty spoon. Some years later, now aged 103 years old, Joyce Ross lay gasping for her life on the floor of her grandson Mike's LA apartment. She knew the time had finally come to pass the ring on to the next member of the Ross dynasty. Between the coughs of blood, she pulled her dear grandson closer and whispered delicately into his ear.
Mikey, when your true princess comes along, you give her this ring and ask her to marry you. You hear me, boy?
Unfortunately, only 1 year later, the hand of fate would deal Mike Ross a devastating blow. In 2016, at Soho House Members Club in London, whilst Mike Ross was stood alone in the lavatory, summoning the courage to ask his Princess Meghan Markle to be his wife, a rugged, yet pasty ginger prince named Harry entered the building. Prince Harry, being a keen hunter, immediately moved in on his prey, and within minutes had lured the lovely Meghan into the VIP area for a drink and a spot of karaoke. Mike never saw Meghan again, until now. Back in the royal dressing room of the Adelaide Hotel in Windsor, it was a real shock for Meghan to see Mike again after all this time, especially on her wedding day. How he had managed to slip past the royal security guards was a mystery in itself. But weirdest of all was the fact that he was strutting around the room wearing her precious wedding dress, whilst violently eating a Cadbury's double-decker, obviously raided from the hotel minibar.
What are you doing?
Oh, God. I'm sorry, this looks awful.
The Mike that I know and the Mike that I fell for, he wouldn't do this.
You don't understand what I have lost. Because it's everything. Everyone that I loved. Trevor, my grandmother. I am not ready to lose you. Not today.
Now move to part 5. 10:42 a.m. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh make their way down through Windsor Castle towards St. George's Chapel in time for the wedding ceremony. They briefly stop to greet the crowds below, lining the streets waving Union flags. At this point, the Sovereign and Duke decide to partake in a contest known as Wetting the Lily. This tradition, dating back to the reign of King Henry VIII, involves placing freshly picked cabbage leaves inside 2 pewter tankards, which are then firmly strapped to the respective royal anuses. The couple must continue waving to the patriotic idiots below as they try and ferment the cabbage leaves using only their anal vapors. The following day, the soggy leaves are removed from the tankards, then boiled down into a scrumptious hot beverage and served to the royal guards as a thank you for their service to the crown. Turn the tape over now.
Okay, Des, just take a short break there, please.
All right, Mr. Copperpot. Can I interest you in a nice cup of tea and a bouquet?
Oh, hello, my love. Cup of the old Rosie Lee would be most kind. Could I get a little something to jazz up my brew, if you catch my drift?
How do you mean, Mr. Copperpot?
Well, Mr. Copperpot needs his medicine, do you see? So could you pop a wee nip of bells in my cuppa, dear boy? What do you think? I'd say a ratio of 50-50 ought to do the trick.
Whatever you want, Mr. Copperpot.
Excellent news. I spotted a rather fine-looking off-licence just over the road. Would you be so kind as to nip over there for me?
Right you are, Mr. Copperpot. Back in a sec.
Thank you. What a fine young man. Now move to part 6. 11 a.m. and the bride arrives in a Rolls-Royce Phantom 6 with a glass roof, so fans can catch a glimpse of her much-anticipated dress. She is accompanied by her father, Thomas Markle, winner of the California State Lottery in 1990. Meghan is still a little shaken from being confronted by her ex-boyfriend Mike earlier, but she's putting on a brave face and is almost able to completely ignore the stench coming from the skid marks he has left all over her bridal gown. Royal Security Services Commander Sergeant Dennis Jeffries has assured Meghan that adequate measures will be undertaken to safeguard against Mike Ross disrupting the day's proceedings any further. As a precaution, he has issued her with a state-of-the-art earpiece so that he is able to communicate with her at all times. Just to let you know, we've taken Mr. Ross into custody, Miss Markle. You won't be hearing from him again. Have a good day, and congratulations from all the boys. Now move to part 7. 11:20 a.m. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are about to be pronounced husband and wife by the Archbishop of Canterbury. As the Archbishop delivers the final words of his ceremony, he can't help remembering that unforgettable summer of 1965 spent swimming naked with his cousin Malcolm in the lake behind Aunt Margaret's cottage. The Archbishop clears his throat. We are gathered here today in the sight of God. The royal couple look into each other's eyes, their love more powerful than ever. Harry turns his head slightly, revealing to Meghan that he too is wearing a Secret Service earpiece. He taps it twice and then cheekily winks at his bride. Suddenly, Meghan hears the voice of Sergeant Jeffreys coming through her earpiece.
On the floor, you soppy little wanker! I said on the floor, Yankee boy!
Mike Ross is being pinned to the floor of a grotty police cell by Sergeant Jeffreys and his men. He lets out a series of pathetic yelps as they beat him to death with their bare, meaty knuckles. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride. Harry, like all great hunters, has stalked and captured his prey. He takes a deep breath, cracks his knuckles, then sticks his prosthetic rubber tongue down Meghan's throat. Now move to part 8. 12:10 a.m. Harry and Meghan emerge from the chapel holding hands. They pause momentarily to smile and wave at their adoring fans. In the sky above, 7 RAF Tornado jet planes dazzle the onlooking crowd with a specially choreographed acrobatic display. The red-coloured trails from each plane write the words, "Congratulations, Harry and Meghan," across the sky. The wonderful red pigmentation of the trails is achieved by combining traditional jet fuel with the recently mutilated corpse of Meghan's ex-boyfriend, Mike Ross. Now move to part 9. 1:30 p.m. and the wedding reception is underway. Everybody is having a jolly good time. The guests have enjoyed a delicious 6-course feast fit for a king, consisting of wild deer killed by Harry and his hunting chum, German aristocrat Franz Albrecht zu Oettingen Spielberg. Also on offer was a sashimi platter, sourced from Zen Sushi in Beverly Hills by Meghan and her best friend, the human Ken doll, Rodrigo Alves. Suddenly, the sound of royal trumpet fanfare fills the opulent dining room. It's time for the official royal gift ceremony, and Harry's grandfather, the Duke of Edinburgh, presents his grandson with an enormous, beautifully wrapped gift box. The guests cheer, and Harry begins a slow clap as he approaches the enormous gift. Like a crazed beast, he begins ripping back the layers of paper to reveal a manky wooden crate. The guests are going wild. The Duke of Edinburgh, who is recovering from a recent hip replacement, has been self-medicating with port since 6 a.m. and is now frothing at the mouth with excitement. He hands Harry a brass crowbar, and the young groom cracks open the giant crate with a single confident flick of the wrist. The room falls silent as they bear witness to this truly phenomenal event. From the giant crate, appearing like magic, walks Lady Diana, the people's princess and mother of the groom. Tears begin streaming down Harry's face, and his brother William also begins to cry. They immediately embrace their mother passionately and are joined by their father, the Prince of Wales, whose ears are now wiggling and erect. The guests break out into a spontaneous round of applause, and the Duke of Edinburgh, who is now red in the face, begins to laugh uncontrollably. Harry turns to him and smiles through the tears.
Thank you, Grandfather, for finding our dear mother. Where's she been all this time? We thought she was dead,
said Harry.
There's such a real mother, you soppy little poof,
replied the Duke of Edinburgh.
It's Maureen Murray, winner of the 1985 Princess Diana Lookalike competition at the Champion Sports Bar in Washington, D.C. Here, if you don't believe me, what's this?
The Duke presses the play button on a large combined TV and VHS player that has been wheeled out next to him.
It's a bar in Georgetown called Champions, and they're having a royal time with a Lady Diana lookalike contest. They expected 15 entries, but closed the contest at 30, with more girls waiting to enter.
The winner tonight of the WAVA Lady Diana Spencer, the Princess of Wales Lookalike Contest, contestant number 18, Maureen Murray.
Now move to part 10. 9 p.m. Chuck and Norma Randolph are back at their central London hotel after a thrilling day spent with the royal family. Norma is very happy, but also quite exhausted. All the excitement, combined with her type 2 diabetes, has really taken its toll.
Honey, I'm beat. I think I'm going to have an early night,
said Norma.
Do you think you could give me the Chuck tuck?
Of course, sweetie. Now lay back for me and close your eyes, replied Chuck. Chuck lovingly tucks his wife into bed so that only her head is poking out from beneath the 25% cotton sheets. As she drifts off into a deep sleep, Chuck whispers, "Thank you for a lovely day, my sweet. I'm going to head out now, see if I can get some of the boys at work some last-minute souvenirs. Is that okay, honey?" Sleep tight, my princess. Sleep tight. Chuck quietly leaves the hotel room. How can I help you, sir? Hey, buddy, where does a guy go for a bit of action around here? Well, I'd probably recommend heading into Soho for that kind of thing, sir. Thanks, buddy. Here you go. Oh, thank you, sir.
Coming up, sweetheart. Second floor. Come on in, love. Let's get your scene through, shall we? Now, it's £25 for a hand job, 50 for a suck, and 100 to go the whole hog. You'll be in room 2, down the hall, on the left. Thanks, honey. Howdy, darling. Now, what you doing over there in the shadows? Let Uncle Chuck take a closer look at you, huh? That's it. Don't be shy. Come on, a little closer now. What the Sweet mother of God! What the hell are you? I'm Tommy the Wizard. Welcome to my story time. Come here, you big lad. Get off me! Please! No! No, don't hurt me! Hold still now. It'll be a lot easier in the long run, sweetheart. No! So that brings us to the end of our story. I do hope you've enjoyed it a little more than poor old Chuck. Go easy on him now, Tommy. Fuck off, you bastard! Would you leave me be so I can get this done proper? Ooh! Ah! Whee! Ooh, that's better. Ooh! You're loving this, aren't you? Ooh! There you go, shocky boy.